Okay, and we're back. And again, I'm struck by how ugly this scene. This is literally like the webcam is looking at a line of chords and just random stuff. And beyond that, it's all very nice and pleasant and well kept. But it gives the impression that I'm living in some sort of like, well, I don't want to say hacker dungeon. That's a little too much, but it's the magic of filmmaking. You only show a little bit, and things look very different. Okay, here we go. Da, 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 da. Oh, I wonder. Hmm. On top of saving these, something just occurred to me. In order to name these butterflies, I'm going to have to make it possible to right-click on them and pop up one of these world item list dealios. And it just occurred to me that might be trickier than I thought. I was kind of hoping to knock that out today, but that might not be possible. You'll see why when I get to it. Okay. Critters, you're doing good so far. Right, they already have, they're a lost cause because they've already got their lantern. They're not going to move. They're not going to move for a different source. Put that down. Oh, okay, there we go. Got some guys. Okay, now I'm going to pick it up, guys. And when I pick it up, you're supposed to stop moving around this spot. Okay, well, they found... Look, we've got butterflies. Found item type in player group. Item of type in player group, lantern 4.0. Okay, that's great. So... Oh! Once again, I'm an idiot. Okay. So it found the lantern in my hand. But of course, I'm moving the lantern. So every time it checks to see if it's moved, it's going to say, yeah, it's moved. I'm no longer going to follow that thing. So we need to differentiate between whether we're following something that the player is holding or not. Okay. All right. So if we get it from the player group, we just say the valuable is held by the player. If we don't get it from the player group, we say it's not. And if it's not held by the player and the focus position is not the current valuable position, then we set it to null. Otherwise, we just We're just gonna have to... Okay. We're gonna have to check for the distance so that we don't end up following objects that are stored in inventory all the way to, you know, negative 8,000 XYZ or wherever it is that I store them in world space. Okay. So if the current variable does not equal null, I'll actually break this out into a different line. If the distance between the current variable between its focus position and our position is greater than our search radius, we set the current variable to null. So that'll prevent insanity. Or if it's not held by player and the focus position is not the stored variable position, current variable is null. Okay. That should do it. For real this time. The other thing that I like about the new Doom is with these really big games, you know, like the AAA games, you can feel on the part of the developers this urge to include so much material that isn't going to appeal to the audience that the game is built for. You know, I mean, I'm not saying anything new or controversial. This is, you know, what movies have been done forever. You increase your appeal by throwing in a love interest, blah blah blah. With games, it feels a little less natural because usually this takes the form of kind of strange little gameplay intervals, like a turret section or something. You know what I mean? Where they cram something in there and you can tell they're trying to broaden their appeal by cramming it in there, but it doesn't really feel organic. It doesn't really feel like it belongs there, even if it's fun. And the same kind of goes for graphics and stuff. I'm a little less iffy about graphics for graphics' sake because games exist, AAA games exist sort of to subsidize experimentation in really, really complex rendering. And so if they kind of run with that and have a field day with it, that's great. But the thing I like about Doom is how literally everything that's in the game, at least so far as I've experienced, uh, literally everything feels like it has a point, and the point relates immediately, directly to core gameplay and nothing else. Um, Anything that doesn't relate to core gameplay was, you know, not designed or cut out. Um, and that's a strange feeling in a AAA game. It really is for something to be that tightly focused. Like you typically see that in indie games because they have no choice but to be that tightly focused. But you know, stuff like the glory kill system, I honestly thought, oh, go away. I honestly thought that was going to be garbage. Like, you know, I try to keep an open mind about these things, but I saw it and I was like, I don't understand. Like, why would I want that in a Doom game? Um, then of course I played it and I realized, oh, I see this as a point. Like this genuinely it affects how I play the game. It really forces me to play it in a style that like maximizes the fun. In another game, I feel like the glory kill system would just be there. Um, you know, it might not hurt. It might help a little bit, and just because it's something fun that the irony of what I'm saying just dawned on me all of a sudden. I'm praising a tightly focused game while working on what is possibly the least tightly focused indie game ever made. So there's that. There's that layer going on. Okay, I'll stop talking for a second and see what's happening here. I'm not getting any errors. Let's check out what our butterflies are up to. Why don't you guys warn me about this stuff? Greater than the search radius. Ugh. It's your job to catch my mistakes. I blame this on you. Okay, one more time. Yeah, so anyway, I kept thinking back to Dead Space, the Dead Space games, because, you know, I mean, roughly similar setting and tone, I want to say. That's not strictly accurate, but I think you know what I mean when I say that. Tone is so broad, but yeah, the Dead Space games, they had a lot of, they even had a turret section. You know, they had a lot of these little moments and little gameplay things. The upgrade system, the the turret section, the boss battles, all of that stuff never really felt truly organic to me. I didn't really mind them. I'm not necessarily saying the game would be better off without them in there. You know, they do add something, but when I would, you know, when I would do them, when I would participate, when I would upgrade my stuff, or I would play the turret section or whatever, or do the mini game, I felt like I was sort of walking into another room of gameplay. I wasn't in the main room. You got your main room, you've got your main pieces of furniture, whatever. This analogy sucks already, but yeah, whenever I would step into that stuff, I felt like I was exiting that room and going into another room. And there was actually sort of a mental break in there. Just like when you walk through a real doorway, it sort of wipes the sight clean and you feel like you're stepping into something different. With Doom, it never felt that way. It was all of a piece. Every upgrade, every every cutscene, although they don't really have cutscenes, every gameplay element, just I immediately understand how they interrelate. So when I would look at the upgrade screen and say, "Oh, I see, I can do such and such with the shotgun now." And upgrades are another thing that I thought were going to suck. I was like, "Why, just pick up the gun. Why do I need upgrades?" But I would look at it and I'd see, "Oh, I completely understand how that's going to affect combat because the combat is so tight and well designed." Add light sources, lantern 4. So yeah, anyway, it's just super rare to see outside of indie games, that kind of tight focus. And I'm really impressed. Okay, guys, there we go. There you go. All right, some are going for that, some are going for that. Now I'm going to pick it up, and you should be lost and confused. Okay, you're looking for that because that's the first thing they found. That's in their search radius. If I go a little farther out, okay, those guys despawned. Now I should be spawning some butterflies that should be attracted to the lantern in my hand. Come on, guys. Oh no, I gotta stay 8 units away from the lanterns because they'll be attracted to those first. So let's go way out in the wilderness here. Yeah. Oh. Are you actually following me, or is it an illusion? Nope. Oh, look at that! They're following me. They know what. Oh yeah, look at that. No, something's still wrong here. What have I done? What have I done wrong now? It's so close. So close, guys. Oh. That's what I did wrong. Okay. The values, if the valuable is being held by the player, I can't use the stored position to determine a direction. I have to use the folk's position. Also, I should be using this here. Okay. So when I'm standing still, it's all hunky-dory because they've discovered me and they found the position of the lantern and they're using that. See, they still think it's there. As I'm moving, they're not saying, whoops, it's gone, but they're still using that position to guide their motion. So super close, super close. Okay. I'm actually just going to assume that works because everything else is fine, and yeah, that's fine. So now I'm going to move into saving and loading special creatures. Now, it's going to be saved and loaded inside of local player, which is a class I haven't gotten into much on live streams. It's not as much as a nightmare as you would expect, actually, because the functionality it's nicely compartmentalized inside of separate scripts. Okay, so this is the stuff that I save and load at runtime. These are the basics, and this dictionary is the script states. And the script states work just like a world item script, where if I have a state defined, an object called state that is serializable, I can load and save that to and from XML in this dictionary. So to make this simple, I'm going to create a new player script that manages the critters. This will also, okay, here's local player base. These are all the scripts that the player uses in addition to some FPS scripts. Status, damage handler, projections, audio, surroundings, inventory, focus, weather effects, item placement, and wearables. Now we're going to create a new one called player critters. And this will also take care of the business of enabling prompts for a critter name and stuff like that. I don't want that functionality to be in the critter itself. The critter is nice and simple. You know, it's like a 2-page script. Even the flower-seeking critters, I mean, it's nice and simple. I'm going to keep it nice and simple, and we'll let the player critter script manager, whatever thing, handle it. Okay, move that in there. All of these games released so far this year will not be better than Infinite Warfare. Really? Infinite Warfare. Okay, I'm having trouble placing Infinite Warfare though. Feel free to call me a hack or a fraud for not knowing what Infinite Warfare is. Oh, Infinite Warfare. Okay. Does that give me cred to not know? I don't know. I don't know how these things work. Actually, to be honest, Infinite Warfare is I haven't played a Call of Duty game in years, but moving it into space is the first thing that's got me interested in Call of Duty in a long time because I like space stuff. Okay, I'm gonna look up a player script that I know has a state just so I can. Player inventory state. Right. Okay. Player critters state. I hate those two S's. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna define that here. I'm gonna keep this all here. Okay. So critters that you're gonna be able to name will have a name. Okay, they're gonna have a type. And right now, critter types are just defined by the name of the object. Now, butterflies can have different coloration. We'll just have it be 0 by default and assume that most critters won't have that defined at all. And I'll probably define an enum or something in a critter script elsewhere. You know, like blue, monarch, etc. Okay, so then in the player critter state, no. We'll just define a list of critters. And I think that's really all we need. Let me think real hard for a second about what other kinds of functionality critters are going to need. If they're not going to have like a life or anything, like what do we need to save about? We just need the name and the type, and then in the case of butterflies, coloration, right? Everything else we need to know about it is known in virtue of the fact that we're saving it. You know, in other words, it's not just a randomly spawned critter that will despawn. Oh, I know. This could be fun. We'll have a time created so that a player can know how long this critter's been his friend or whatever. Okay. So we'll have a state object. Now, automatically, without having to do anything else, this player critter state will be saved and loaded by the player on startup and, you know, when you save your game. I don't know. Only space game that has mildly got my attention is an indie game called Interstellar Marines. They also have a few financial hurdles, but I hope they find the funding to finish the original idea. Oh, financial hurdles. You make everything so interesting. I'm not bitter, though. Definitely not bitter. Okay. I don't need to adjust the player motor. I don't need to lock the quick slide. I'm going through all of the functions I can override in the player script just to refamiliarize myself with it. On local player spawn, we're going to want to override that, because when we spawn, we want on game load start and finish, on game save start and finish. I don't think I need to do anything else. If we just create the critters when we spawn, no, when we despawn, we want to despawn the critters too, because then we don't want to just leave it hanging out there. We want to despawn it and then spawn it again wherever we respawn. Okay. This is empty, right? Yeah. So that should be the only stuff we need. When we spawn, we're going to tell... Come on. What the hell is it called? Oh, for God's sake. Trying to remember what the manager's name is. Critters. Oh, it's from Frontier's World, I see. Okay. I cleaned up the whole project not too long ago. Put everything in namespaces. Overall, it's a lot better, but I still occasionally get confused. All right, critters get spawn from save state. Okay, so we'll have that, and then when we despawn all special. You know what? I can move that into here on local player. On local player despawn. If we despawn, no matter what we do, we are going to despawn all special critters. I want to leave the ability to spawn critters in the player script possession, because there could be situations where I want to spawn a critter if the player performs an action or something. But despawning critters is all, if I can keep all of that always under the management of the critters manager, that's great. So all managers have an on local player despawn action that I can override or function, and so I'll have it take care of that here. Yeah, I'll just destroy them. I'll check if it's null first. You never know. Okay. That'll take care of that. We'll call this spawn special from save state. Okay, good. It knows about that. And where do I create critters? Do I have a, yeah, I have a thing right here. Where do I get critter positions? That's a good question. I'll just spawn it at the player's position. That's, for now, it's fine. And la-di-da. Okay. If we do spawn it, I think I might have a property defined, kind of like special. Might be like friendly or something. Friendly, yes. We're going to change special to friendly to keep everything consistent. Oh, I missed a shot to use refactor. Let's see. Time created could be date time type. Do you use player prefs for saving? No. Okay, time created could be date time type, but I have a kind of a wonky time system. Let me load it up real quick. Because of the fast travel system where, you know, time can fluctuate, I needed to create my own sort of date time system, and it's all based on a single double. We've got world time since world created, real time, adjusted real time, and then we have all these cycles that I can check, like hour, day, moon, whatever. So I save everything as a double, and then I figure it out later, and that's enough precision to get what I need done, and I haven't really needed date time functionality yet. So, but I did play with the idea of using date time for a long time before I finally settled on that system. Player prefs, I use player prefs in Euclidean and Felt of Circus, and I probably won't do something like this again. The system I use in Frontiers. With Frontiers, I save everything to XML, and it's just a totally custom system. I could not have used player prefs for this. It would have, you know, it's a lot of data. And keeping it straight would have been impossible. For smaller games, player prefs is perfect. I've totally come around on it. I used to hate it. Yeah, Felt of Circus, I use player prefs exclusively, but here there's just no way. Now, I think I set friendly to true elsewhere, don't I? I might set it in the critter itself. I think I randomly set. Apparently I don't anymore. I must have removed it. At one time I was randomly setting, here it is. If Unity editor new critter friendly, and it's just a random value, just to test setting them to random. I'm going to remove that now because we are no longer creating friendly critters in that array. Friendly critters go exclusively in this array. Okay, and while I'm at it, I'm going to add a coloration flag here. Okay. Now, is the name doing what I think it does? Yes. Okay, good. Now, I need to make sure that these critters get updated. Because I'm cycling through the active critters. And I need to cycle through the friendly critters too. So I'm not even gonna try and be clever about it. We're just gonna do everything twice. Later on, if I want to get clever, maybe I can put this in a function or something, but okay. Let me make sure. Okay, friendly critters is dead. Now, here's a question. I think friendly critters are going to be immortal. So let's change that. Ugh, I'm so sick of this Hungarian notation. It's so nice and Felt Tip Circus to not think about the Hungarian crap. Okay, so now if you're friendly, we're always going to return false or is dead. So we're not even going to have to check this. And we don't, you know, this is totally unnecessary. We're never going to destroy them. We're never going to despawn them based on the max critter range or the fact that they're below the biome tide water elevation. So the only thing we really have to check is if it's null for some reason, and we can remove it there. Problem solved. Okay. This is spawning critters if we need them based on the max critter count. And otherwise, I'm just updating the movement. Okay, so that should take care of that. So far, so good. No, I don't have to override update. I'm adding some testing code here so I can spawn critters at will. Equals new critter blah. And no, do not delete world clock. Thank you. We'll just say butterfly. Okay, and we'll just that'll come into play later. So this test code, whenever I hit C, I'll create a new critter with the name of with a numbered name. It'll be of type butterfly. I'll set its coloration to a random value. We'll add it to the state so that when I save and load, it'll be in there. And we'll just spawn it right on the spot. Okay, good enough. Oh no, we have errors. Type or names to be serializable cannot be found. Okay, that's fine. Okay, now I don't remember. It might be the case that I'll encounter an error when a player script attempts to load a player save state without finding a save state for itself in there. Like, because I'm going to load a save state in game 9 that has a player save state with no value for player critters, even though the player critter script is now attached to the player-based prefab. Either that'll throw an error and I'll have to go back in and you know, splice that into the XML so there's a value there, or I was smart and it won't. Special critters, right. Friendly critters, not special critters. Come on, you can do it. Random is ambiguous. Oh no. That's fine, I can handle that. Does not contain spawn special from save state. You're right, it doesn't contain spawn friendly. It's so sad to see this butterfly in my pathetic quarter res editor mode. I promise the final butterflies will look better than this. Okay, looking good. Now, real quick, I'm going to go on a very brief detour here and open this while we're loading. Come on, come on. Come on, Unity Editor. Okay, we're good. All right, loading. Let's see what happens. I'm popping open damageable scenery. This is one of the super lightweight scripts that I have in the world that still generates a HUD when you look at things, and I've kind of forgotten how to do that, and I want to look at how to do that for these critters. If you have a special critter, a named critter, then its name is supposed to be displayed. Oops, where am I going? Um, okay, so I show. I see. So I check if I have player focus. Okay, I can do that with treasure-seeking critter. Right, because critter implements item of interest, and item of interest already has a player focus property. So what do you know? Some of my work is done for me already. Okay, since we're only going to have a couple of these in the world at any given time, I'm fine with creating an update function inside of them. I don't usually do that in this game because, you know, we have thousands of objects, and if they all ran update functions, it would be a disaster. But, okay, we're here. So, all right. Let's get away from those lanterns. All right, I'm going to try. Well, first, before I do this, let me check the player script. Okay, player critters is here. It's disabled, that's fine. And we have no critters. Good. I don't like that. Local player is not defined. That's a little bit odd. I don't see an error anywhere. This should be set to the local player if it initialized correctly. If it didn't initialize correctly, I can't imagine it's going to save and load correctly. Okay, on awake we check for script props. Let me look at this in debug mode. Okay, we have a state field we haven't initialized, and state hasn't been loaded. I wonder, we might have canceled the initialization because we couldn't find a state. I don't have to manually. Do I have to manually? I have to manually initialize it. It's come back to me now. Okay. It's all coming back to me. Okay. We get the critters, and then we call on local player created. That should initialize it all. I'm still going to try and create a critter and see what happens. It won't save it, but you know, we should at least spawn it. Okay. I hit C. Are you him? Are you my special critter? All right. to make this easier, to make my special critter easier to find. First of all, I'm going to change the game object name to something I can search for. Second of all, I'm going to stop doing this. I'm going to stop naming them butterfly 9, 10, 11, whatever. Oh wait, no, I can still do that here because that's not a special critter. Okay, so if I change its game object name to the friendly name, I should be able to find it more easily. And here in my local player, I saved those changes. Let me close some of these. Okay. Now it should initialize correctly, and when I add the critter, the testing critter, it should actually save the state. So the next time I'll create game 10, and we'll load from that next time. If Unity has crashed during this compile. The one thing I'm afraid of with Doom, I really hope they stick the landing. Oops. Yeah, I really hope they stick the landing. Because one of the things I always liked about Doom, the original games, was that when you got to the end, it felt like an end. You know, especially Doom 2. That was insane. If they're gonna have a real hard time ramping up the insanity to that kind of a satisfying level in the new game. I worry they won't be able to pull it off. And if they don't, that's going to be disappointing. I don't know how many of you have played Alien Isolation. Spoilers. I'm going to talk about the ending of Alien Isolation. The ending of Alien Isolation literally ruined the game for me. I was playing it, you know, I really enjoyed it, especially the first couple hours. I got frustrated by the working Joes, but I understood their purpose. I understood that they're there to pad out the gameplay and that you can't just have an alien. At least not in a game that was, you know, designed that way. And when I got to the end, and the ending was that, like, prior to the ending, I'd been through a couple of relatively tense sequences that felt pretty satisfying. If it had gone out on that note, I think I would have been okay with it. But when I got to this weird final stage and was basically treated to a QuickTime event, I actually thought I'd broken something. When the QuickTime event was over and the game had ended, I thought I screwed something up. You know, like there's obviously something beyond this still waiting for me, you know, to play through. And I must have played through that sequence 5 or 6 times before I finally said, I think that's it. I think that's actually how they're going to wrap this thing up. And the sinking feeling I got, it was so crushing. I just felt, ugh, like, really? That's the cherry you're going to put on top of this thing? That sequence. I hated it. I hated it. And it retroactively soured me on the rest of the game. I have no desire to play it again. I mean, I was really into it, man, but if you don't stick the landing, it almost doesn't matter. So I hope it would be hard for Doom to screw up to that level, but I really hope they stick it. I hope they give me an ending as satisfying as the original games. Okay, here we are. Player critters. Player is set. That's good. It's been initialized. Good. So now it should save. I'm going to add. Boop. What did I call it? New critter blah. Okay. To get key down, key code C. Oh. I automatically disable scripts unless I specifically request to be enabled, so it wasn't running the update function. Okay. So that should have created one. New critter blah 0, yay! Okay, it's a treasure seeking critter. It flies. Let's see if it's friendly. It is friendly. Okay. Look at that, he's got a little trail. So that's how we're differentiating between the normal critters and the friendly ones now, is they have a trail. Come on, move a little bit so I can see the trail better. And there we go. Bumped him out of the way. What's going on, guys? Okay, something's screwed up. Presumably in the critters manager. Okay, spawn the friendly critters. I'm updating all their movement. Oh. Okay, it's another problem. I have to explicitly enable them. You can tell built into the system is this absolute paranoia over scripts updating themselves. I forgot to deliberately enable the script. Okay. I think I'm going to call it a day. 6 o'clock. That's pretty good. We got critters correctly searching for items, moving towards them. We got them looking for stuff in the player's possession. We got them moving towards moving items in the player's possession. And we've got a general framework set up for